The fluorescent lights flickered weakly above a small interrogation room in Islamabad's Federal Investigation Agency headquarters. The air was thick, carrying a faint mix of cigarette smoke and cheap cologne. A man in his early 30s sat across the steel table, eyes hollow, his wrists marked from the handcuffs that had only recently been removed. His name was Ahmed Raza, a junior officer in the FIA Cybercrime wing, once celebrated for tracking down online criminals, now accused of becoming one himself. Across from him sat an internal investigator, his face half lit by the cold glow of a laptop screen. The file in front of him was thick, labeled in red marker. Internal breach. FIA Cybercrime Division. The investigator pressed record. "Tell me," he said quietly. "How deep does it go?" Ahmed didn't answer right away. The sound of the ceiling fan filled the silence, its slow rotation slicing through the tension. "You think this started with me?" he finally whispered. "You have no idea how long this has been happening." The camera on the table blinked red, capturing every tremor in his voice. What Ahmed was about to reveal would expose one of Pakistan's most trusted institutions, an agency created to protect citizens from cyber threats, now rotting from within. It began with routine complaints. In late 2021, a surge of cyber harassment cases flooded the FIA's online complaint portal. Victims claimed their cases were ignored for months, while others mysteriously disappeared from the record. Behind closed doors, insiders whispered about bribes, officers demanding money to fast-track investigations. A case that should have taken days dragged on indefinitely unless the victim paid in cash or favors. But no one outside the building could prove it. Inside the cybercrime wing, the atmosphere was something out of a decaying bureaucracy. Rows of aging computers hummed under flickering lights, while officers scrolled through Facebook pages and WhatsApp messages of suspects, sipping tea, occasionally laughing over private chats they had no right to read. Surveillance had turned into entertainment. Data privacy was a joke. And behind those monitors, some officers had learned how to profit from the system. Ahmed Raza had joined the FIA out of idealism. Fresh out of university, he imagined himself hunting hackers, protecting people from scams and exploitation. But reality came fast. The first time he was told to delete a file, it was a small case. A student who had sent threatening messages to a girl. His supervisor leaned in and said, "Her father's a politician. The order comes from above." Ahmed deleted the case. A few days later, an envelope appeared in his desk drawer. 50,000 rupees. "A gift," his supervisor said. That's how it started. Over time, the gifts became routine. Officers began selling access to the FIA database. For a price, anyone could get a person's private information, phone records, CNIC details, even WhatsApp screenshots. Hackers, blackmailers, and political operatives lined up discreetly through contacts. Officially, nothing was happening. Unofficially, it was a market. By 2022, the corruption had evolved into a system. Inside the main building, certain computers were marked priority use only. These weren't for legitimate investigations. They were used to dig into targets chosen by private clients, mostly businessmen, journalists, and women involved in online disputes. A senior official named Asif Mahmood quietly oversaw these operations. He'd been in the agency for over a decade, respected by juniors, feared by peers. But under his leadership, the FIA's cybercrime wing had turned into a digital underworld. One afternoon, a complaint came from an investigative journalist named Sara Malik. She had been receiving threats after publishing an article exposing online extortion networks operating in Pakistan. Her emails were hacked, her photos leaked. She turned to the FIA for help. Days passed, then weeks. Finally, one night, she received a call from a private number. "You're wasting your time," a calm voice said. "The people you're reporting to are the ones selling your data." The line went dead. Sarah's story spread across local news outlets, but the FIA denied everything. Still, whispers grew. A few insiders began leaking information anonymously to the press. Screenshots of internal chat groups showed officers joking about selling data to feed the family. It wasn't long before the government quietly launched an internal audit. That audit never saw daylight. According to Ahmed, investigators who tried to dig deeper were reassigned or pressured into silence. "You can't touch them," he said during interrogation, pointing vaguely toward the ceiling. "They have political backing." The FIA cybercrime wing didn't just serve the government, it had become a tool for it. Certain officials allegedly used the agency's surveillance capabilities to monitor journalists, political opponents, and activists. Under the pretext of national security, personal data was weaponized. Behind the official facade of digital law enforcement, a darker reality thrived. Officers held private meetings in cafes, where they offered services to anyone who could pay. One victim, a young entrepreneur, claimed an FIA officer demanded money to remove defamatory posts about his company. When he refused, his own data, bank details, passport scans, were leaked online within a week. He went silent after that. By early 2023, the internal rot had become impossible to hide. Anonymous Twitter accounts began sharing documents, real case files with official FIA watermarks, showing how senior officers manipulated evidence and sabotaged legitimate investigations. The government's Ministry of Interior denied the leaks, calling them fabricated. But digital forensics experts confirmed their authenticity. Someone inside was risking everything to expose the truth. That someone was Ahmed. For months, he had secretly copied internal logs and communications. Late at night, when most of the office was empty, he'd stay behind, transferring files to a hidden drive. He had proof, emails showing bribes, call records linking officers to political aides, and payment trails routed through fake accounts. But when he tried to pass them to a journalist contact, his system was flagged. Within 48 hours, he was arrested by his own department. During his interrogation, Ahmed stayed calm. "I didn't sell anything," he said. "I tried to show what was really happening." The investigator leaned forward. "You think anyone's going to believe that?" Ahmed smiled faintly. "Maybe not. But the files are already out there." He wasn't lying. 2 weeks after his arrest, a series of documents titled FIA leaks surfaced online, posted anonymously through encrypted channels. The files exposed years of misconduct, names, transactions, chat histories, and even case manipulations that favored political allies. Screenshots revealed officers joking about fabricating evidence or blackmailing suspects. The impact was immediate. Media houses erupted. Parliament demanded explanations. But inside FIA headquarters, the silence was deafening. Computers were seized, hard drives were destroyed, officers were transferred overnight. Ahmed's name vanished from internal records. Officially, he had resigned. Unofficially, he was being held somewhere off the grid. The government promised a complete review of the cybercrime wing, but the results were never published. Months later, an insider leaked that the investigation team itself had been compromised. Evidence was lost, servers were malfunctioning, and statements were inconclusive. The corruption that had infected the cybercrime wing wasn't an isolated disease. It was systemic. And like every system built on secrets, it buried its own whistleblowers. Sara Malik, the journalist, never stopped digging. She found traces of Ahmed's original files on a dark web forum. Some had timestamps from FIA servers, others bore digital signatures impossible to fake. Her final article, before she left Pakistan, ended with one chilling line. "When the watchdog starts selling the keys to the vault, who protects the people?" Today, the FIA cybercrime wing continues to function publicly, processing complaints, issuing statements, arresting low-level offenders. But inside its walls, the same shadows linger. Officers still sit behind glowing screens, their faces half-lit, fingers moving across keyboards that hold the power to destroy reputations or erase them entirely. The building hums with quiet secrecy, as if it knows what it's hiding. No one ever saw Ahmed Raza again. Some say he was released and fled abroad. Others believe he never left FIA custody. His family refuses interviews, his records are sealed, and his name is now whispered in the corridors like a ghost of a warning. In the end, the scandal wasn't about a few corrupt officers. It was about the illusion of trust. The people believed the agency guarding their data was incorruptible. The truth was far darker. The screens meant to protect them had become mirrors reflecting greed, fear, and silence. And in that silence, Pakistan's digital future still trembles, because the corruption didn't end. It just moved deeper into the code.